Hi, not going to teach a tune right now. Just my opinion about holding the banjo and the position of your arm and your wrist. And so here's the deal. Um, Maintaining a neutral wrist is really important in terms of preventing repetitive stress injuries and reducing fatigue and um also gaining, I think, power in your playing. So, what I mean by a neutral wrist is that instead of being cocked up or down like this, or this way, or this way, you want your hand in a neutral position. And what you're looking for is for the middle finger to line up in a straight line with the tendons in your forearm. If you have it like this, the tendons in your forearm are more lined up with your ring finger, say. If you have it like this, they're more lined up with your index finger. So you line them up with your middle finger. But don't have to worry about it. Just remember it's a nice neutral position. So when I play, I use my elbow as a fulcrum. I think that's the term, if I can remember my high school science class, and move my entire arm. Now, in order to do this, I keep my banjo on my right leg. If I hold the banjo on the middle of my lap, well, if I hold it out here to straighten it out so I can go like this, it's a little too low for me, for one thing. And if I have this up here so I can easily reach this, then it perforce is I guess you could do this with a neutral wrist, but a lot of times I see people doing this when they hold their banjo up here. One way to assure that you get and maintain that neutral wrist is to shift the banjo to your right thigh, drop the neck until it's closer to parallel with the ground, instead of aiming up at the sky, 10 or 11 o'clock. I hold the banjo with my arm here. There's actually a space between my body and the banjo. When I do that, I have both hands free. I don't really need, because I'm hanging on this. Now, if I have short arms and a fairly big pot on the banjo. So if I am a guy that has a longer arm, I may want to have the banjo, have my arm coming from farther back on the pot, from closer to the tailpiece. I actually just rest my arm on top, because this is kind of the sweet spot where I like to play. I'm also, warn people against using their arm to hold on to the banjo, or pressing any part of their hand or wrist against the head. Those are all bad habits you don't want to get into when you're starting out. So see if you can find a position where you're holding the banjo comfortably on, I'm assuming you're right-handed, playing a right-handed banjo, on your right leg, on your right thigh, and try to move your whole arm as a unit. And each time you do that, it's gonna be a separate bounce of your arm instead of flicking your fingers or cocking your wrist. So this position also, at least for me, leads to much less stress on my left shoulder, because if I have it up here, you're actually holding your shoulder not in a neutral position. And this way, your shoulder is actually in a neutral position, and your left shoulder is in a neutral position as well. That's it. That's my opinion.